Hello and welcome to another Beyond Shakespeare second look exploring session this time. And here we're here to read Sappho and Phao by John Lyly, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere here. I have a note which I lost. And it was played before the Queen's Majesty on Shrove Tuesday, which is not today, by Her Majesty's children and the boys of St. Paul's. And these lovely people are, so basically what we do during second looks, if you've never seen one before, we read through the text without commenting on it, and then we have a discussion at the end. That's how it goes. And yeah, so without further ado, I shall introduce the lovely people who will be reading this play with me. Well, basically, they'll be doing most of the reading. I'll just be sitting here watching them and keeping track of what shenanigans go on. So reading the prologue at the Blackfriars, Trachinus, Cupid, and the Epilogue.
Hello, Dan, actor based in Montpellier, France.
Reading the prologue at court, Sibylla and Eugenia, we're not entirely sure, is...
Hi, Lynsey Beauchamp, actor in Kirkcaldy, Scotland.
Yeah. And reading Criticus and Lamia, we have...
Hello, my name is Lynn. I'm a teacher during the academic year, and I am in the Northwestern United States.
But not a teacher right now.
I'm on break.
So relieved. Reading Molus and Canope, or Canope, I'm not sure.
Hi, Diroberto. I'm a teacher in Tucson.
And reading Mileta and Calypho, we have...
Briony Sparrow, actor in Lincolnshire.
I keep wanting to go Calypso, but that's not in this play. Reading Pandion and Vulcan, we have...
Alan, tearing himself away from the anvil in Suffolk.
That totally works. Reading Venus is... Wait, have I introduced them? Reading Venus and Ismena, we have... I'm confused.
Aliki, Chapple, actor and translator, currently in Greece.
And reading the two lovers, well, not at the same time, that would be weird. Sappho is currently
Alexandra, currently in great envy of the people who are in sunny places.
Totally. And finally, reading Phao is...
Hi, I'm Emily Snyder. I'm an actor and a playwright currently in Stratford-upon-Avon.
And I'm Eric, your host, doing all the shenanigans and trying not to get confused while I read Favilla, I'm told, yes. So without further ado, let us begin with the prologue at the Blackfriars, and no stage directions will be read during this production. So, yeah.
Where the bee can suck no honey, she leaveth her sting behind. And where the bear cannot find oreganum to heal his grief, he blasteth all other leaves with his breath. We fear it is like to fare so with us, that seeing you cannot draw from our labor's sweet content, we leave behind you a sour mislike, and with open reproach blame our good meanings, because you cannot reap your wanton mirths. Our intent was at this time to move inward the light, not outward lightness, and to breed, if it might be, soft smiling, not loud laughing, knowing it to the wise to be as great pleasure to hear counsel mixed with wit, as to the foolish to have sport mingled with rudeness. They were banished to the theatre at Athens, and from Rome hissed, that brought parasites on the stage with apish actions, or fools with uncivil habits, or courtesans with immodest words. We have endeavored to be as far from unseemly speeches to make your ears glow, as we hope you will be from unkind reports to make our cheeks blush. The griffin never spreadeth her wings in the sun when she hath any sick feathers. Yet have we ventured to present our exercises before your judgments. For we know them full of weak matter, yielding rather ourselves to the courtesy which we have ever found than to the preciseness which we ought to fear.
The Arabias, being stuffed with perfumes, burn hemlock, a rank poison, and in Hybla, being cloyed with honey, they account it dainty to feed on wax. Your Highness' eyes, whom variety hath filled with fair shows, and whose ears pleasure hath possessed with rare sounds, will we trust at this time resemble the princely eagle, who, fearing to surfeit on spices, stoopeth to bite on wormwood. We present no conceits nor wars, but deceits and loves, wherein the truth may excuse the plainness, the necessity, the length, the poetry, the bitterness. There is no needle's point so small which hath not his compass, nor hair so slender which hath not his shadow, nor sport so simple which hath not his show. Whatsoever we present, whether it be tedious, which we fear, or toyish, which we doubt, sweet or sour, absolute or imperfect, or whatsoever, in all humbleness we all, and I on me for all, entreat that your highness imagine yourself to be in a deep dream, that staying the conclusion in your rising, your majesty, self vouchsafe but to say, and so you awaked.
Thou art a ferryman, Phao, yet a free man, possessing for riches content, and for honours quiet. Thy thoughts are no higher than thy fortunes, nor thy desires greater than thy calling. Who climbeth, standeth on glass, and falleth on thorn. Thy heart's thirst is satisfied with thy hand's thrift, and thy gentle labours in the day turn to sweet slumbers in the night. As much it doth delight thee to rule thine oar in a calm stream, as it doth Sappho to sway the sceptre in her brave court. Envy never casteth her eye low, ambition pointeth always upward, and revenge barketh only at stars. Thou farest delicately, if thou have a fare to buy anything. Thine angle is ready when thine oar is idle, and as sweet as the fish which thou gettest in the river, as the fowl which other buy in the market. Thou needst not fear poison in thy glass, nor treason in thy guard. The wind is thy greatest enemy, whose might is withstood with policy. Oh, sweet life, seldom found under a gold covert, oft under a thatched cottage. Oh, but here cometh one. I will withdraw myself aside. It may be a passenger.
It is no less unseemly than unwholesome for Venus, who is most honoured in princes' courts, to sojourn with Vulcan in a smith's forge, where bellows blow instead of sighs, dark smokes rise for sweet perfumes, and for the panting of loving hearts is only heard the beating of steeled hammers. Unhappy Venus, that, carrying fire in thine own breast, thou shouldst dwell with fire in his forge. What doth Vulcan all day but endeavour to be as crabbed in manners as he is crooked in body, driving nails when he should give kisses, and hammering hard armours when he should sing sweet amours? Came by lot, not love, that I was linked with him. He gives thee bolts instead of arrows, fearing belike, jealous fool that he is, that if he should give thee an arrowhead, he should make himself a broadhead. But come, we will to Syracusa, where thy deity shall be shown, and my disdain. I will yoke the neck that never yet bowed, at which, if love repine, love shall repent. Sappho shall know, be she never so fair, that there is a Venus which can conquer, were she never so fortunate.
If Jove espy Sappho, he will devise some new shape to entertain her.
Strike thou, Sappho, let Jove devise what shape he can.
Mother, they say she hath her thoughts in a string, that she conquers affections and sendeth love up and down upon errands. I'm afraid she will yerk me if I hit her.
Peevish boy, can mortal creatures resist that which the immortal gods cannot redress?
The gods are amorous and therefore willing to be pierced.
And she amiable, therefore must be pierced.
I dare not.
Draw thine arrow to the head, else I will make thee repent it at the heart. Come, away, and behold the fairy boy ready to conduct us. Pretty youth, do you keep the ferry that bendeth to Syracusa?
The ferry, fair lady, that bendeth to Syracusa.
I fear if the water should begin to swell, thou wilt want cunning to guide.
These waters are commonly as the passengers be, and therefore, carrying one so fair in show, there is no cause to fear a rough sea.
To pass the time in thy boat, canst thou devise any pastime?
If the wind be with me, I can angle or tell tales. If against me, it will be pleasure for you to see me take the pains.
I like not fishing, yet I was born of the sea.
But he may bless fishing that caught such an one in the sea.
It was not with an angle, my boy, but with a net.
So it was said that Vulcan caught Mars with Venus.
Didst thou hear so? It was some tale.
Yea, madam, and that, in the boat, I did mean to make my tale.
It is not for a ferryman to talk of the gods' loves, but to tell how thy father could dig and thy mother spin. But come, let us away.
I am ready to wait.
Pandion, since you're coming from the university to the court, from Athens to Syracusa, how do you feel yourself altered, either in humor or opinion?
Altered, Trachinus? I say no more, and shame that any should know so much.
Here you see as great virtue, far greater bravery, the action of that which you contemplate. Sappho, fair by nature, by birth royal, learned by education, by government politic, rich by peace, insomuch as it is hard to judge whether she be more beautiful or wise, virtuous or fortunate. Besides, do you not look on fair ladies instead of good letters, and behold fair faces instead of fine phrases? In universities, virtues and vices are but shadowed in colors, are white and black. In courts, showed to life good and bad. There, times past are read in old books, times present set down by new devices, times to come conjecture at by aim, by prophecy or chance. Here are times in perfection, not by device as fables, but in execution as truths. Believe me, Pandion, in Athens you have but tombs. We in court the bodies, you the picture of Venus and the wise goddesses. We the persons and the virtues. Why the scholar found out by study that a courtier hath not found out by practice? Simple are you that think to see more at the candle snuff than the sunbeams, to sail further in a little brook than in the main ocean, to make a greater harvest by cleaning than reaping. I say, Pandion, is not all this true?
Trachinus, what would you more? All true.
Cease then to lead thy life in a study, pinned with a few boards, and endeavor to be a courtier to live in embossed roofs.
Well, intolerable for Pandion.
Why?
Because it is harder to shape a life to dissemble than to go forward with the liberty of truth.
Why do you think in court any use to dissemble?
Do you know in court any that means to live?
You have no reason for it but an old report.
Report hath not always a blister on her tongue.
Aye, but this is the court of Sappho, nature's miracle, which resembleth the tree Solaris, whose root is fastened upon knotted steel, and in whose top bud leaves a pure gold.
It has Solurus blasts and water bells, worms and caterpillars.
The virtue of the tree is not the cause, but the easterly wind, which is thought commonly to bring cankers and rottenness.
Nor the excellency of Sappho the occasion, but the iniquity of flatterers, who always whisper in princes' ears suspicions and sourness.
Why, then you conclude with me that Sappho for virtue hath no co-partner.
Yea, and with the judgment of the world, that she is without comparison.
We will thither straight.
I would I might return straight,
Why, there you may live still.
but not still.
How like you the ladies? Are they not passing fair?
Mine eye drinketh neither the colour of wine nor women.
Yet I am sure that in judgment you are not so severe, but that you can be content to allow of beauty by day or by night.
Well, when I behold beauty before the sun, his beams dim beauty. When by candle, beauty obscures torchlight. So as no time I can judge, because at any time I cannot discern, being in the sun a brightness to shadow beauty, and in beauty a glistering to extinguish light.
Scholar-like said, you flatter that which you seem to mislike, and seek to disgrace that which you most wonder at. But let us away.
I follow. And you, sir boy, go to Syracuse or about by land, where you shall meet my stuff. Pay for the carriage and convey it to my lodging.
I think all your stuff are bundles of paper. But now must you learn to tune your library to a wardrobe and see whether your rapier hang better by your side than the pen did in your ear.
Molus, what odds between thy commons in Athens and the diet in court, a page's life and a scholar's?
The difference there of a little had somewhat, here of a great deal, nothing. There did I wear pantolos on my legs, here do I bear them in my hands.
Thou mayest be skilled in thy logic, but not in thy liripoop. Belike no meat can down with you unless you have a knife to cut it. But come among us, and you shall see us once in a morning have a mouse at bay.
A mouse? Unproperly spoken.
Aptly understood, a mouse of beef.
I think indeed a piece of beef as big as a mouse serves a great company of such cats. But what else?
For other sports, a square die in a page's pocket is as decent a square cap on a graduate's head.
You courtiers be mad fellows. We silly souls are only plotters at ergo, whose wit are classed up with our books, and so full of learning are we at home that we scarce know good manners when we come abroad. Cunning in nothing but in making small things great by figures, pulling on the sweat of our studies a great shoe upon a little foot, burning out one candle in seeking for another, raw wordlings in matters of substance, passing wranglers about shadows.
Then is it time lost to be a scholar? We pages are politicians. For look what we hear our masters talk of, we determine of. Where we suspect, we undermine, and where we mislike for some particular grudge, there we pick quarrels for a general grief. Nothing among us, but instead of good morrow, what news? We fall from cogging at dice to cog with states. And so forward are mean men in those matters, that we would be cocks to tread down others before they be chicks to rise themselves. Youths are very forward to stroke their chins, though they have no beards, and to lie as loud as he that hath lived longest.
These be the golden days.
Then be they very dark days, for I can see no gold.
You are gross-witted, Master Courtier.
And you, Master Scholar, slender-witted.
I meant times which were prophesied golden for plenty of all things, sharpness of wit, excellency in knowledge, policy in government, for...
Soft, scholaris, I deny your argument.
Why, it is no argument.
Well then, I deny it because it is no argument. But let us go, follow our masters.
Is it not strange that Phao on the sudden should be so fair?
It cannot be strange, sith Venus was disposed to make him fair. That cunning had been better bestowed on women, which would have deserved thanks of nature.
Happily she did it in spite of women, or scorn of nature.
Proud elf, how squeamish he is become already, using both disdainful looks and imperious words, insomuch that he galleth with ingratitude. And then, ladies, you know how it cutteth a woman to become a wooer.
Tush! Children and fools, the fairer they are, the sooner they yield. An apple will catch the one, a baby the other.
Your lover, I think, be a fair fool, for you love nothing but fruit and poppets.
I laugh at that you all call love, and judge it only a word called love. Methinks liking, a curtsy, a smile, a beck, and such like, are the very quintessence of love.
I'm Mileta, but were you as wise as you would be thought fair, or as fair as you think yourself wise, you would be ready to please men as you are going to prank yourself, and as amorous to be careful to be courted, accounted amorous as you're willing to be thought discreet?
No, no, men are good souls, poor souls, who never inquire but with their eyes, loving to father the cradle, though they but mother the child. Give me their gifts, not their virtues. A grain of their gold weigheth down a pound of their wit. A dram of give me is heavier than an ounce of hear me. Believe me, ladies, give is a pretty thing.
I cannot but oftentimes smile to myself to hear men call us weak vessels when they prove themselves broken-hearted, us frail when their thoughts cannot hang together, studying with words to flatter and with bribes to allure, when we commonly wish their tongues in their purses. They speak so simply, and with their offers in their bellies, they do it so peevishly.
It is good sport to see them want matter, for then fall they to good manners, having nothing in their mouths but sweet mistress, wearing our hands out with courtly kissings, when their wits fail in courtly discourses. Now ruffling their hairs, now setting their ruffs, then gazing with their eyes, then sighing with a privy ring of the hand, thinking us like to be wooed by signs and ceremonies.
Yet we, when we swear with our mouths we are not in love, then we sigh from the heart and pine in love.
We are mad wenches. If men mark our words, for when I say I would none cared for love more than I, would I mean but I would none loved but I. Where we cry away, do we not presently say go to? And when men strive for kisses, we exclaim, let us alone, as though we would fall to that ourselves.
Nay then, Canope, it is time to go, and behold Phao.
Where?
In your head, Ismena, nowhere else. But let us keep on our way.
Wisely.
Phao, thy mean fortune causeth thee to use an oar, and thy sudden beauty a glass. By the one is seen thy need, in the other thy pride. Oh, Venus, in thinking thou hast blessed me, thou hast cursed me, adding to a poor estate a proud heart, and to a disdained man a disdaining mind. Thou dost not flatter thyself, Phao. Thou art fair. Fair? Ay me! Fair be a word too foul for a face so passing fair. But what availeth beauty? Hadst thou all things thou wouldst wished, thou mightst die tomorrow, and didst thou want all things thou desirest, thou should live till thou diest. Tush, Phao, there is grown more pride in thy mind than favor in thy face. Blush, foolish boy, to think on thine own thoughts, cease complaints, and crave counsel. And lo, behold Sibylla in the mouth of her cave. I will salute her. Lady, I fear me I am out of my way, and so benighted withal that I am compelled to ask your direction.
Fair youth, if you will be advised by me, you shall for this time seek none other inn than my cave, for that it is no less perilous to travel by night than uncomfortable.
Your courtesy offered hath prevented what my necessity was to entreat.
Come near, take a stool and sit down. Now, for that these winter nights are long, and the children delight in nothing more than to hear old wives' tales, we will beguile the time with some story. And though you behold wrinkles and furrows in my tawny face, yet may you haply find wisdom and counsel in my white hairs.
Lady, nothing can content me better than a tale. Neither is there anything more necessary for me than counsel.
Were you born so fair by nature?
No, made so fair by Venus.
For what cause?
I fear me for some curse.
Why do you love and cannot obtain?
No, I may obtain, but cannot love.
Oh, take heed of that, my child.
I cannot choose, good madam.
Then hearken to my tale, which I hope shall be a straight thread to lead you out of these crooked conceits and place you in the plain path of love.
I attend.
When I was young, as you are now, I speak it without boasting, I was as beautiful. For Phoebus in his godhead sought to get my maidenhead. But I, fond wench, receiving a benefit from above, began to wax squeamish beneath, not unlike to Aeolus, which, being made green by heavenly drops, shrinketh into the ground when there fall showers, or the Syrian mud, which, being made white chalk by the sun, never ceaseth rolling till it lie in the shadow. He to sweet prayers added great promises. I, either desirous to make trial of his power or willing to prolong my own life, caught up my handful of sand, consenting to his suit, if I might have as many years as there were grains. Phoebus, for what cannot gods do, and what for love will they not do, granted my petition, and then I sigh and blush to tell the rest. I recalled my promise.
Was not the god angry to see you so unkind?
Angry, my boy, which was the cause that I was unfortunate.
What revenge for such rigor used the gods?
None but suffering us to live, and know we are no gods.
I pray, tell on.
Well, I will. Having received long life by Phoebus, and rare beauty by nature, I thought all the year would have been May, that fresh colours would always continue, that time and fortune could not wear out what gods and nature had wrought up, not once imagining that white and red should return to black and yellow, that juniper, the longer it grew, the crookeder it waxed, or that in a face without blemish there should come wrinkles without number. I did as you do, go with my glass, ravished with the pride of mine own beauty, and you shall do as I do, loath to see a glass, disdaining deformity. There was none that heard of my fault, but shunned my favour, insomuch as I stooped for age before I tasted of youth, sure to be long-lived, uncertain to be beloved. Gentlemen that used to sigh from their hearts for my sweet love began to point with their fingers at my withered face, and laughed to see the eyes out of which fire seemed to sparkle, to be succoured, being old, with spectacles. This caused me to withdraw myself to a solitary cave, where I must lead 600 years in no less pensiveness of crabbed age than grief of remembered youth. Only this comfort, that being ceased to be fair, I study to be wise, wishing to be thought a grave matron, since I cannot return to be a young maid.
Is it not possible to die before you become so old?
No more possible than to return as you are to be so young.
Could you not settle your fancy upon any, or would not destiny suffer it?
Women willingly ascribe that to fortune, which wittingly was committed by frowardness.
What will you have me do?
Well, take heed you do not do as I did. Make not so much of fading beauty, which is fair in the cradle and foul in the grave, resembling Pandion, whose leaves are white in the morning and blue before night, or Anita, which, being a sweet flower at the rising of the sun, becometh a weed, if it be not plucked before the setting. Fair faces have no fruits if they have no witnesses. When you shall behold over this tender flesh a tough skin, your eyes, which were wont to glance on others' faces, to be sunk so hollow that you can scarce look out of your own head, and when all your teeth shall wag as fast as your tongue, then will you repent the time which you cannot recall, and be enforced to bear what most you blame. Lose not the pleasant time of your youth, than the which there is nothing swifter, nothing sweeter. Beauty is a slippery good, which decreaseth while it is increasing, resembling the medlar, which in the moment of his full ripeness is known to be in a rottenness. Whiles you look in the glass, it waxeth old with time. If on the sun, parched with heat, if on the wind, blasted with cold. A great care to keep it, a short space to enjoy it, a sudden time to lose it. Be not coy when you are courted. Fortune's wings are made of time's feathers, which stay not whilst one may measure them. Be affable and courteous in youth, that you may be honoured in age. Roses that lose their colours keep their savours, and plucked from the stalk are put to the still. Cotonia, because it boweth when the sun riseth, is sweetest when it is oldest. And children which in their tender years sow courtesy shall in their declining states reap pity. Be not proud of beauty's painting, whose colours consume themselves, because they are beauty's painting.
I'm driven by your counsel into diverse conceits, neither knowing how to stand or where to fall. But to yield to love is the only thing I hate.
I commit you to Fortune, who is like to play such pranks with you as your tender years can scarce bear, nor your green wits understand. But repair unto me often, and if I cannot remove the effects, yet I will manifest the causes.
I go, ready to return for advice before I am resolved to adventure.
Yet hearken 2 words. Thou shalt get friendship by dissembling, love by hatred. And lest thou perish, thou shalt perish. In digging for a stone, thou shalt reach a star. Thou shalt be hated most, because thou art loved most. Thy death shall be feared and wished. So much for prophecy, which nothing can prevent, and this for counsel, which thou mayest follow. Keep not company with ants that have wings, nor talk with any near the hill of a mole. Where thou smellest the sweetness of serpent's breath, beware thou touch no part of the body. Be not merry among those that put bugloss in their wine, and sugar in thine. If any talk of the eclipse of the sun, say thou never sawest it. Nourish no conies in thy vaults, nor swallows in thine eaves. So next thy vine mandridge, and ever keep thine ears open and thy mouth shut, thine eyes upwards and thy fingers down. So shalt thou do better than otherwise, though never so well as I wish.
Alas, madam, your prophecy threateneth miseries, and your counsel warneth impossibilities.
Farewell, I can answer no more.
Unhappy Phao! But soft, what gallant troop is this? What gentlewoman is this?
Sappho, a lady here in Sicily.
Fair boy is that.
Phao, the ferryman of Syracusa.
I never saw one more brave. Be all ladies of such majesty.
Criticus, are you listening?
Sorry. No, this is she that all wonder at and worship.
I have seldom seen a sweeter face. Be all ferrymen of that fairness.
No, madam. That is he that Venus determined among men to make the fairest.
Seeing I am only come forth to take the air, I will cross the ferry, and so the fields, then going in through the parks. I think the walk will be pleasant.
You will much delight in the flattering green, which now beginneth to be in his glory.
Sir, boy, will ye undertake to carry us over the water? Are you dumb? Can you not speak?
Madam, I crave pardon, I am spurblind, I could scarce see.
It is pity in so good a face there should be an evil eye.
I would in my face there were never an eye.
Thou canst never be rich in a trade of life of all the basest.
Yet content, madam, which is a kind of life of all the best.
Wilt thou forsake the fairy and follow the court as a page?
As it pleaseth fortune, madam, to whom I am apprentice.
Come, let us go.
Will you go, Pandion?
Yay!
Criticus comes in good time. I shall not be alone. What news, Criticus?
I taught you that lesson to ask what news, and this is the news. Tomorrow there shall be a desperate fray between two, made at all weapons, from the brown bill to the bodkin.
Now thou talkest the phrase. I pray thee, what is that, whereof they talk so commonly in court? Valor, the stab, the pistol, for which every man that dareth is so much honored.
Oh, Molus, beware of valor. He that can look big and wear his dagger pommel lower than the point, that lieth at a good ward, and can hit a button with a thrust, and will into the field man to man for a bout or two. He, Molus, is a shrewd fellow, and shall be well followed.
What is the end?
Danger or death.
If it be but death that bringeth all this commendation, I account him as valiant that is killed with a surfeit as with a sword.
How so?
If I venture upon a full stomach to eat a rasher on the coals, a carbonado, drink a carouse, swallow all things that may procure sickness or death, am I not as valiant to die so in a house as the other in the field? Methinks that epicures are as desperate as soldiers, and cooks provide as good weapons as cutlers.
Oh, valiant knight.
I will die for it. What a great valor.
Scholars fight who rather seek to choke their stomachs than see their blood.
I will stand upon this point. If it be valor to dare die, he is valiant howsoever he dieth.
Well, of this hereafter, here cometh Calypho. We will have some sport.
My mistress, I think, hath got a gadfly, never at home, and yet none can tell where abroad. My master is a wise man, when he matched with such a woman. When she comes in, we must put out the fire because of the smoke, hang up our hammers because of the noise, and do no work, but watch what she wanteth. She is fair, but by my troth I doubt of her honesty. I must seek her that I fear Mars hath found.
Whom dost thou seek?
I have found those I seek not.
I hope you have found those which are honest.
It may be, but I seek no such.
Criticus, you shall see me by learning to prove Calypho to be the devil.
Let us see, but I pray thee prove it better than thou didst thyself to be valiant.
Calypho, I will prove thee to be the devil.
Then will I swear thee to be a god.
The devil is black.
What care I?
Thou art black.
What care you?
Therefore thou art the devil.
I deny that.
It is the conclusion. Thou must not deny it.
In spite of all conclusions, I will deny it.
Molus, the smith holds you hard.
Thou seest he hath no reason.
Try him again.
I will reason with thee now from a place.
I mean to answer you in no other place.
Like master, like man.
It may be.
But thy master hath horns.
And so mayest thou.
Therefore thou hast horns, and ergo a devil.
Be they all devils have horns?
All men that have horns are.
Then are there more devils on earth than in hell?
But what dost thou answer?
I deny that.
What?
Whatsoever it is that shall prove me a devil. But hearest thou, scholar, I am a plain fellow, and can fashion nothing but with the hammer. What wilt thou say if I prove thee a smith?
Then will I say thou art a scholar.
Prove it, Calypho, and I will give thee a good colophon.
I will prove it, or else...
Or else what?
Or else I will not prove it. Thou art a smith. Therefore thou art a smith. The conclusion, you say, must not be denied, and therefore it is true. Thou art a smith.
Aye, but I deny your antecedent.
Aye, but you shall not. Have I not touched him, Criticus?
You have both done learnedly, for as sure as he is a smith, thou art a devil.
And then he a devil, because a smith, for that it was his reason to make me a devil, being a smith.
There is no reasoning in these mechanical dolts, whose wits are in their hands and not in their heads.
Be not choleric, you are wise, but let us take up this matter with a song.
I am content. My voice is as good as my reason.
Then shall we have sweet music, but come, I will not break off.
Merry knaves are we three,
when our songs do agree.
Oh, now I well see what anon we shall be.
If we ply thus our singing,
pots then must be flinging.
If the drink be but stinging,
I shall forget the rules of grammar.
And I the pit-a-pat of my hammer.
To the tap house then let's gang and roar. Call hard, 'tis rare to vamp a score. Draw dry the rub, be it old or new, and part not till the ground look blue.
What unacquainted thoughts are these, Phao, far unfit for thy thoughts, unmeet for thy birth, thy fortune, thy years, for Phao, unhappy, canst thou not be content to behold the sun, but thou must covet to build thy nest in the sun? Doth Sappho bewitch thee, whom all the ladies in Sicily could not woo? Yea, poor Phao, the greatness of thy mind is far above the beauty of thy face and the hardness of thy fortune, beyond the bitterness of thy words. Die, Phao, Phao, die, for there is no hope if thou be wise, nor safety if thou be fortunate. Ah, Phao, the more thou seekest to suppress those mounting affections, they soar the loftier, and the more thou restless with them, the stronger they wax, not unlike unto a ball, which, the harder it is thrown against the earth, the higher it boundeth into the air, or our Sicilian stone, which groweth hardest by hammering. Oh, divine love! And therefore divine, because love, whose deity no conceit can compass, and therefore no authority can constrain, as miraculous in working as mighty, and no more to be suppressed than comprehended. How now, Phao? Whither art thou carried, committing idolatry with that God whom thou hast caused to blaspheme? Oh, Sappho, oh, fair Sappho. Peace, miserable wretch, enjoy thy care in covert, wear willow in thy hair, and bays on thy heart, lead a lamb in thy hand, and a fox in thy head, and a dove in the back of thy hand, and a sparrow in the palm. God boileth best when it bubbleth least. Water runneth smoothest where it is deepest. Let thy love hang at thy heart's bottom, not at the tongue's brim. Things untold are undone. There can be no greater comfort than to know much, nor any less labor than to say nothing. But thy beauty, Sappho, thy beauty. Beginst thou to blab? Aye, blab it, Phao, as long as thou blabbest her beauty. Bees that die with honey are buried with harmonic. Swans that end their lives with songs are covered when they are dead with flowers. And they that till their latter gasp commend beauty shall be ever honored with benefits. In these extremities, I will go to none other oracle than Sibylla, whose old years have not been idle in these young attempts, and whose sound advice may mitigate, though the heavens cannot remove, my miseries. Oh, Sappho, sweet Sappho, Sappho, oh, Sibylla!
Who's there?
One not worthy to be one.
Fair Phao?
Unfortunate Phao.
Come in.
So I will, and quite requite thy tale of Phoebus, with one whose brightness darkeneth Phoebus. I love Sappho, Sibylla. Sappho! Sappho, Sibylla!
A short tale, Phao, and a sorrowful. It asketh pity rather than counsel.
So it is, Sibylla, yet in those firm years methinketh there should harbour such experience as may defer, though not take away, my destiny?
It is hard to cure that by words which cannot be eased by herbs, and yet if thou wilt take advice, be attentive.
I have brought mine ears of purpose, and will hang at your mouth till you have finished your discourse.
Love, fair child, is to be governed by art, as thy boat by an oar. For fancy, though it cometh by hazard, is ruled by wisdom. If my precepts may persuade, and I pray thee let them persuade, I would wish thee first to be diligent, for that women desire nothing more than to have their servants officious. Be always in sight, but never slothful. Flatter, lie. Little things catch light minds, and fancy is a worm that feedeth first upon fennel. Imagine with thyself all are to be one, otherwise mine advice were as unnecessary as thy labour. It is impossible for the brittle metal of woman to withstand the flattering attempts of men. Only this, let them be asked. Their sex requireth no less, their modesties are to be allowed so much. Be prodigal in praises and promises. Beauty must have a trumpet, and pride a gift. Peacocks never spread their feathers but when they are flattered, and gods are seldom pleased if they be not bribed. There is none so foul that thinketh not herself fair. In commending thou canst lose no labour, for of every one thou shalt be believed. Oh, simple women that are brought rather to believe what their ears hear of flattering men than what their eyes see in true glasses.
You digress, only to make me believe that women do so lightly believe.
Then to the purpose. Choose such times to break thy suit as thy lady is pleasant. The wooden horse entered Troy when the soldiers were quaffing, and Penelope, forsooth, whom fables make so coy, among the pots, and wrung her wooers by the fists when she lowered on their faces. Grapes are mind glasses. Venus worketh in Bacchus' press, and bloweth fire upon his liquor. When thou talk'st with her, let thy speech be pleasant, but not incredible. Choose such words as many may, melt her mind. Honey rankleth when it is eaten for pleasure, and fair words wound when they are heard for love. Write, and persist in writing. They read more than is written to them, and write less than they think. In conceit, study to be pleasant. In attire, brave, but not too curious. When she smileth, laugh outright. If rise, stand up. If sit, lie down. Lose all thy time to keep time with her. Can you sing? Show your cunning. Can you dance? Use your legs. Can you play upon any instrument? Practice your fingers to please her fancy. Seek out qualities. If she seem at the first cruel, be not discouraged. I tell thee a strange thing. Women strive because they would be overcome. Force, they call it. But such a welcome force, they account it, that continually they study to be enforced. To fair words join sweet kisses, which if they gently receive, I say no more, they will gently receive. But be not pinned always on her sleeves. Strangers have green rushes, when daily guests are not worth a rush. Look pale and learn to be lean, that whoso seeth thee may say, the gentleman is in love. Use no sorcery to hasten thy success. Wit is a witch. Ulysses was not fair, but wise, not cunning in charms, but sweet in speech, whose filed tongue made those enamoured that sought to have him enchanted. Be not coy, bear, soothe, swear, die to please thy lady. These are rules for poor lovers. To others I am no mistress. He hath wit enough that can give enough. Dumb men are eloquent if they be liberal. Believe me, great gifts are little gods. When thy mistress doth bend her brow, do not thou bend thy fist. Cammocks must be bowed with sleight, not strength. Water to be drained with pipes, not stopped with sluices. Fire to be quenched with dust, not with swords. If thou have a rival, be patient. Art must wind him out, not malice. Time, not might. Her change, and thy constancy. Whatsoever she weareth, swear it becomes her. In thy love be secret. Venus' coffers, though they be hollow, never sound, and when they seem emptiest, they are fullest. Old fool that I am, to do thee good I begin to dote, and the counsel that which I would have concealed. Thus, Phao, I have given thee certain regards, no rules, only to set thee in the way, not to bring thee home.
Sibylla, I pray go on, that I might glut myself in this science.
Thou shalt not surfeit, Phao, whilst I diet thee. Flies that die on the honeysuckle become poison to bees. A little in love is a great deal.
But all that can be said is not enough.
White silver draweth black lines, and sweet words will breed sharp torments.
What shall become of me?
Go, dare.
I go. Phao, thou canst but die, and then as good die with great desires as pine in base fortunes.
Sappho is fallen suddenly sick. I cannot guess the cause.
Some cold belike, or else a woman's qualm.
A strange nature of cold to drive one into such an heat.
Your physic, sir, I think be of the second sort. Else would you not judge it rare that hot fevers are engendered by cold causes?
Indeed, lady, I have no more physic than will purge choler, and that, if it please you, I will practice upon you. It is good for women that be waspish.
Faith, sir, no, you are best purge your own melancholy. Belike, you are a male content.
It's true, and are not you a female content?
Soft, I am not content that a male and female content should go together.
Ismena is disposed to be merry.
No, it is Pandion would fain seem wise.
You shall not fall out, for pigeons after biting falling to billing, and open jaws make the closest jests.
Mileta, Ismena, Mileta, come away. My lady is in a swoon.
Ay me!
Come, let us make haste.
I am sorry for Sappho, because she will take no physic like you, Pandion, who being sick of the sullens will seek no friend.
Of men we learn to speak, of gods to hold our peace. Silence shall digest what folly hath swallowed, and what wisdom weaned from what fancy hath nursed.
Is it not love?
If it were, what then?
Nothing, but that I hope it be not.
Why, in courts there's nothing more common, and as to be bold among the Mecanians, was accounted no shame, because they were all bold. So to be in love among courtiers, it is no discredit, for that they are all in love.
Why? What do you think of our ladies?
As of the serious wool, which being whitest and softest, frettest soonest and deepest.
I will not tempt you in your deep melancholy, lest you seem sour to those which are so sweet. But come, let us walk a little into the fields, and maybe the open air that will disclose your close conceits.
I will go with you, but send our pages away.
What brown study art thou in, Molus? No mirth? No life?
I am in the depth of my learning driven to amuse. How this Lent I shall scamble in the court that was wont to fast so often in the university.
Thy belly is thy god.
Then he is a deaf god.
Why?
For venter non habet eris, by thy back is thy god.
Then it is a blind god.
How prove you that?
Easy. Nemo videt mentique quod in targo est.
Then with the satchel that hangs at your god, ed est your back, were full of meat to stuff my god, hoc est my belly.
Excellent. But how canst thou study when thy mind is only in the kitchen?
Doth not the horse travel best that sleepeth with his head in the manger?
Yes, what then?
Good wits will apply. But what cheer is there here this Lent?
Fish?
I can eat none, it is wind.
Eggs?
I must eat none, they are fire.
Cheese?
It is against the old verse, Cassius est naquam.
Yea, but it digesteth all things except itself.
Yea, but if a man hath nothing else to eat, what shall it digest?
You are disposed to jest. But if your silk throat cannot swallow no pack thread, you must pick your teeth and play with your trencher.
So shall I not incur the fulsome and unmannerly sin of surfeiting. But here cometh Calypho.
What news?
Since my being here, I have sweat like a dog to prove my master a devil. He brought such reasons to refel me as, I promise you, I shall like the better of his wit as long as I am with him.
How?
Thus, I always arguing that he had horns and therefore a devil, he said, Fool, they are things like horns, but no horns. For once, in the Senate of gods, being holden a solemn session, in the midst of their talk I put in my sentence, which was so indifferent that they all concluded it might as well have been left out as put in, and so placed on each side of my head things like horns, and called me a parenthesis. Now, my masters, this may be true, for I have seen it myself about diverse sentences.
It is true, and the same time did Mars make a full point that Vulcan's head was made a parenthesis.
This shall go with me. I trust in Syracusa to give one or other a parenthesis.
Is Venus come home yet?
No, but were I Vulcan, I would, by the gods...
What wouldest thou?
Nothing but as Vulcan, halt by the gods.
I thought you would have hardly entreated Venus.
Nay, Venus is easily entreated, but let that go by.
What?
That which maketh so many parentheses.
I must go by too, or else my master will not go by me, but meet me full with his fist. Therefore, if we shall sing, give me my part quickly, for if I tarry long, I shall cry my part woefully.
Arm, arm, the foe comes apace.
What's that red nose and sulphury face?
Is the hot leader?
What's his name?
Bacchus, a captain of plump fame, a goat the beast on which he rides, fat grunting swine run by his sides. His standard bearer fears no knocks, for he's a drunken butterbox, who when in the red field thus he revels, cries out 10,000 turn of tevils.
What's he so swaggers in the van?
Oh, that's a roaring Englishman, who in deep health does so excel, from Dutch and French he bears the bell.
What victuallers follow Bacchus' camp?
Fools, fiddlers, panders, pimps, and ramps.
See, see, the battle now grows hot. Here legs fly, here goes heads to the pot. Here whores and knaves toss broken glasses. Here all the soldiers look like asses.
What man e'er heard such hideous noise?
Oh, that's the vinters bawling, boys. Anon, anon the trumpets are, which call them to the fearful bar.
Rush in and let's our forces try.
Oh no, for see they fly, they fly.
And so will I.
And I.
And I.
'Tis a hot day. In drink to die.
Oh, I know not which way to turn me. Oh, I faint, I die.
Madam, I think it good you have more clothes and sweat it out.
No, the best ease I find is to sigh it out.
A strange disease that should breed such a desire.
Strange desire that hath brought such a disease.
Where, lady, do you feel your most pain?
Where nobody else can feel it, Canope.
At the heart?
In the heart.
Will you have any mithridate?
Yea, if for this disease there were any mithridate.
Why? What disease is it, madam, that physic cannot cure?
Only the disease, Mileta, that I have.
Is it a burning ague?
It is, I think so, or a burning agony.
Will you have any of this syrup to moisture your mouth?
Would I had some local things to dry my brain.
Madam, will you see if you can sleep?
Sleep? Favela, I shall then dream.
As good dream sleeping as sigh waking.
Phao is cunning in all kinds of simples, and it is hard if there be none to procure sleep.
Who?
Phao.
Phao. Phao. Let him come presently.
Shall we draw the curtains whilst you give yourself to slumber?
Do. But depart not. I have such starts in my sleep, disquieted, I know not how, in a slumber. Phao.
What say you, madam?
Nothing, but if I sleep, not now, you send for Phao. Gods.
There is a fish called garrus that healeth all sickness, so as whilst it is applied to name not garrus.
An evil medicine for us women, for if we should be forbidden to name Garrus, we should chat nothing but Garrus.
Well said, Eugenia. You know yourself.
Yea, Canope, and that I am one of your sex.
I have heard of an herb called lunary that, being bound to the pulses of the stick, causeth nothing but dreams of weddings and dances.
I think, Ismena, that herb be at thy pulses now, for thou art ever talking of matches and merriments.
It is an unlucky sign in the chamber of the sick to talk of marriages, for my mother said it foreshadoweth death.
It is very evil too, Canope, to sit at the bed's feet and foretelleth danger. Therefore remove your stool and sit by me.
Sure, it is some cold she hath taken.
One were burnt, I think we women would say he died of a cold.
It may be some conceit.
Then is there no fear, for yet did I never hear of a woman that died of a conceit.
I mistrust her not, for that the owl hath not shrieked at the window, or the night raven croaked, both being fatal.
You're all superstitious, for these be but the fancies of doting age, who by chance observing it in some have set it down as a religion for all.
Favilla, thou art but a girl. I would not have a weasel cry, nor desire to see a glass, nor an old wife come into my chamber, for then, though I lingered in my disease, I should never escape it.
Who is there? What sudden affrights be these? Methought Phao came with simples to make me sleep. Did nobody name Phao before I began to slumber?
Yes, we told you of him.
Well, let him be here tomorrow.
He shall. Will you have a little broth to comfort you?
I can relish nothing.
Yet a little you must take to sustain nature.
I cannot, Mileta. I will not. Oh, which way shall I lie? What shall I do? Mileta, help to rear me up. My bed. My head lies too low. You pester with me with too many clothes. Why, you keep the chamber too hot. Avoid it. It may be I shall steal a nap when all are gone.
We will.
Impatient disease of love, and goddess of love, thrice unpitiful. The eagle is never stricken with thunder, nor the olive with lightning, and may great ladies be plagued with love. Venus, have I not strewed thy altars with sweet roses, kept thy swans in clear rivers, fed thy sparrows with ripe corn, and harboured thy doves in fair houses? Thy tortoise have I not nourished under my fig tree? My chamber have I sealed with thy cockle shells, and dripped thy sponge into the freshest waters. Didst thou nurse me in my swaddling clouds with wholesome herbs, that I might perish in my flowering years by fancy? I perceive, but too late I perceive, and yet not too late, because at last that strains our court as well by stooping too low as reaching too high. That eyes are bleared as soon with vapours that come from the earth as with beams that proceed from the sun. Love lodgeth sometimes in caves, and thou, Phoebus, that in the pride of thy heart shinest all day on our horizon, at night dippst thy head in the ocean. Resist it, Sappho, whilst it is yet tender. Of acorns come oaks, of drops floods, of sparks flames, of atomies elementes. But alas, it fareth with me as with wasps, who, feeding on serpents, make their stings more venomous. For glutting myself on the face of Phao, I have made my desire more desperate. Into the nest of a Halcyon bird no bird can enter but the Halcyon, and into the heart of so great a lady can any creep but a great lord. There is an herb, not unlike unto my love, which the further it groweth from the sea, the salter it is. And my desires, the more they swerve from reason, the more they seem reasonable. When Phao cometh, what then? Wilt thou open thy love? Yea, no, save Sappho, but staring in thy face, in his face, till thine eyes dazzle and thy spirits faint. Die before his face. Then this shall be written on thy tomb, that though thy love were greater than wisdom could endure, yet thine honour was such as love could not violate. Mileta?
I come.
Mileta, it will not be. I can take no rest, whichever so way I turn.
A strange malady.
Mileta, if thou wilt, martyrdom. But give me my lute, and I will see if in song I can beguile mine own eyes.
Here, madam.
Have you sent for Phao?
Yea.
And to bring simples that will procure sleep?
No.
A foolish boy, a foolish wench, what should the boy do here if he bring not remedies with him? You think belike I could sleep if I did but see him? Let him not come at all. Let him come. No, It is no matter. Yet will I try. Let him come, do you hear?
Yea, madam, it shall be done. Peace, no noise. She beginneth to fall asleep. I will go to Phao.
Go speedily, for if she wake and find you not here, she will be angry. Sick folks are testy, though they eat nothing, yet they feed on gall.
O cruel love, on thee I lay my curse, which shall strike blind the day. Never may sleep with velvet hand charm thine eyes with sacred wand. Thy jailers shall be hopes and fears, thy prison mates groans, sighs and tears, thy play to wear out weary times, fantastic passions, vows and rhymes. Thy bread be frowns, thy drink be gall, such as when you fail call. The bed thou liest on be despair, thy sleep fond dreams, thy dreams long care. Hope, like thy fool at thy bed's head, mock thee till madness strike thee dead. As Phao thou dost me with thy proud eyes. In thee poor Sappho lives, for thee she dies.
I would either your cunning, Phao, or your fortune might by simples provoke my lady to some slumber.
My simples are in operation as my simplicity is, which, if they do little good, assuredly they can do no harm.
Were I sick, the very sight of thy fair face would drive me into a sound sleep.
Indeed, gentlewomen are so drowsy in their desires that they can scarce hold up their eyes for love.
I mean the delight of beauty would so blind my senses as I should be quickly rocked into a deep rest.
You women have an excuse for an advantage, which must be allowed, because only to you, woman, it was allotted.
Phao, thou art passing fair, and able to draw a chaste eye, not only to glance, but to gaze on thee. Thy young years, thy quick wit, thy staid desires, are of force to control those which should command.
Lady, I forgot to commend you first, and lest I should have overslipped to praise you at all, you have brought in my beauty, which is simple, that in courtesy I might remember yours, which is singular.
You mistake of purpose, or misconster of malice.
I am as far from malice as you from love, and to mistake of purpose were to mislike of peevishness.
As far as I from love? Why, think you me so dull as I cannot love, or so spiteful I will not?
Neither, lady. But how should men imagine women can love, when in their mouths there is nothing rifer than, "I' faith I do not love"?
Why, will you have women's love in their tongues?
Yea, else do I think there is none in their hearts.
Why?
Because there was never anything in the bottom of a woman's heart that cometh not to her tongue's end.
You are too young to cheapen love.
Yet old enough to talk with market folks.
Well, let us in.
Phao is come.
Who? Phao? Phao! Let him come near. But who sent for him?
You, madam.
I am loath to take any medicines, yet must I rather than pine in these maladies. Phao, you may make me sleep, if you will.
If I can, I must, if you will.
What herbs have you brought, Phao?
Such as will make you sleep, madam, though they cannot make me slumber.
Why, how can you cure me when you cannot remedy yourself?
Yes, madam, the causes are contrary, for it is only dryness in your brains that keepeth you from rest, but...
But? What?
Nothing. But mine is not so.
Nay, then I despair of help if our disease be not all one.
I would our diseases were all one.
It goes hard with the patient when the physician is desperate.
Yet Medea, the ever-waking dragon, to snort when she, poor soul, could not wink.
Medea was in love, and nothing could cause her rest but Jason.
Indeed, I know no herb to make lovers sleep, but heart's ease, which, because it groweth so high, I cannot reach for
whom?
For such as love.
It groweth very low, and I can never stoop to it,
That what?
that I may gather it. But why do you sigh so, Phao?
It is mine use, madam.
It will do you harm, and me too, for I never hear one sigh, but I must sigh also.
It were best then that your ladyship give me leave to be gone, for I can but sigh.
Nay, stay, for now I begin to sigh. I shall not leave, though you be gone. But what do you think best for your sighing, to take it away?
You, madam.
Me?
Oh, no, madam. You of the tree.
Then will I love you the better. And indeed, I think it would make me sleep too. Therefore, all other simples set aside, I will simply use only you.
Do, madam. For I think nothing in the world so good as you.
Farewell for this time.
Is not your name Phao?
Phao, fair Venus, whom you made so fair.
So passing fair. Oh, fair Phao. Sweet Phao, what wilt thou do for Venus?
Anything that cometh in the compass of my poor fortune.
Cupid shall teach thee to shoot, and I will instruct thee to dissemble.
I will learn anything but dissembling.
Why, my boy?
Because then I must learn to be a woman.
Thou heardest that of man.
Men speak truth.
But truth is a she, and so always painted.
I think a painted truth.
Well, farewell for this time, for I must visit Sappho. Sappho, I have heard thy complaints, and pitied thine agonies.
Oh, Venus, my cares are only known to thee, and by thee only came the cause. Cupid, why didst thou wound me so deep?
My mother bade me draw mine arrow to the head.
Venus, why didst thou prove so hateful?
Cupid took a wrong shaft.
Oh, Cupid, too unkind to make me so kind that almost I transgressed the modesty of my kind.
I was blind and could not see mine arrow.
How came it to pass thou didst hit my heart?
That came by the nature of the head, which being once let out of the bow, can find none other lighting place but the heart.
Be not dismayed. Phao shall yield.
If he yield, then I shall shame to embrace one so mean. If not, die because I cannot embrace one so mean. Thus do I find no mean.
Well, I will work for thee. Farewell.
Farewell, sweet Venus, and thou, Cupid, which art sweetest in thy sharpness.
Cupid, what hast thou done? Put thine arrows in Phao's eyes and wounded thy mother's heart?
You gave him a face to allure. Then why should not I give him eyes to pierce?
Oh, Venus! Unhappy Venus, when bestowing a benefit upon a man, hast brought a bane unto a goddess. What perplexities dost thou feel, oh, fair Phao, and therefore made fair to breed in me a frenzy? Oh, would that when I gave thee golden locks to curl thy head, I had shackled thee with iron locks on thy feet. And when I nursed thee, Sappho, with lettuce, would it had turned to hemlock? Have I brought a smooth skin over thy face to make a rough scar in my heart, given a fresh colour like the damask rose, to make mine pale like the stained turkey? Oh, Cupid, thy flames with Psyche were but sparks, and my desires with Adonis but dreams in respect of these unacquainted torments. Laugh, Juno. Venus is in love, but Juno shall not see with whom, lest she be in love. Venus belike is become stale. Sappho, forsooth, because she hath many virtues, therefore she must have all the favours. Venus waxeth old. And then she was a pretty wench when Juno was a young wife. Now crow's foot is on her eye, and the black ox hath trod on her foot. But for Sappho, never so virtuous, doth she think to contend with Venus to be as amorous. Yield, Phao, but yield to me, Phao. I entreat where I may command. Command thou where thou shouldst entreat. In this case, Cupid, what is thy counsel? Venus must both play the lover and the dissembler. Therefore, the dissembler, because the lover.
You will ever be playing with arrows like children with knives, and then when you bleed, you cry. Go to Vulcan. Entreat by prayers, threaten with blows, woo with kisses, ban with curses. Try all means to rid these extremities.
To what end?
That he might make me new arrows. For nothing can root out the desires of Phao but a new shaft of inconstancy, nor anything turns Sappho's heart but a new arrow of disdain. And then, they disliking one the other, who shall enjoy Phao but Venus?
I will follow thy counsel. For Venus, though she be in her latter age for years, yet she is in her nonage for affections. When Venus ceaseth to love, let Jove cease to rule. But come, let us to Vulcan.
What dreams are these, Mileta? And can there be no truth in dreams? Yea, dreams have their truth. Methought I saw a stock dove or woodquist, I know not how to term it, that brought short straws to build his nest in a tall cedar, where, while with his bill he was framing his building, he lost as many feathers from his wings as he laid straws in his nest. Yet, scrambling to catch hold of harbour in the house he had made, he suddenly fell from the bough where he stood, and then, pitifully casting up his eyes, he cried in such terms, as I imagined, as might either condemn the nature of such a tree or the daring of such a mind. Whilst he lay quaking upon the ground, and I gazing on the cedar, I might perceive ants to breed in the rind, coveting only to hoard, and caterpillars to cleave to the leaves, labouring only to suck, which caused more leaves to fall from the tree than there did feathers before from the dove. Methought, Mileta, I sighed in my sleep, pitying both the fortune of the bird and the misfortune of the tree. But in this time, quills began to bud again in the bird, which made him look as though he would fly up, and then wished I that the body of the tree would bow, that he might but creep up the tree, then, and so Oh,
And so what?
nothing, Mileta, but... And so I waked. But did nobody dream but I?
I dreamed last night, but I hope my dreams are contrary, that holding my head over a sweet smoke, all my hair blazed upon a bright flame. Methought Ismena cast water to quench it, yet the sparks fell on my bosom, and wiping them away with my hand, I was all in a gore blood, till one, with a few fresh flowers, staunched it. And so, stretching myself as stiff, I started. It was but a dream.
It is a sign you shall fall in love with hearing fair words. Water signifieth counsel, flowers, death. And nothing can purge your loving humour but death.
You are no interpreter, but an interpreter, harping always upon love till you be as blind as a harper.
I remember last night but one. I dreamed mine eye tooth was loose, and that I thrust it out with my tongue.
It foretelleth the loss of a friend, and I ever thought thee so full of prattle that thou wouldest thrust out the best friend with thy tattling.
Yea, Mileta, but it was loose before, and if my friend be loose, as good thrust out with plain words as kept in with dissembling.
Dreams are but dotings which come either by things we see in the day or meats that we eat, and so the common sense preferring it to be the imaginative.
Soft philosophatrix, well seen in the secrets of art, and not seduced with the superstitions of nature.
Mina's tongue never lieth still. I think all her teeth will be loose, they are so often jogged against her tongue. But say on, Eugenua.
There is all.
What did you dream, Canope?
I seldom dream, madam, but since your sickness, I can tell whether with overwatching, but I have had many fantastical visions. For even now, slumbering by your bedside, methought I was shadowed with a cloud, where laboring to unwrap myself, I was more entangled. But in the midst of my striving, it seemed to mizzle gold with fair drops. I filled my lap, and running to show it my fellows, it turned to dust. I blushed, they laughed, and then I waked, being glad it was but a dream.
Take heed, Canope, that gold tempt not your lap, and then you blush for shame.
It is good luck to dream of gold.
Yea, if it had continued gold.
I dream every night, and the last night this. Methought that, walking in the sun, I was stung with the fly tarantula, whose venom nothing can expel but the sweet consent of music. I tried all kinds of instruments, but found no ease, till at the last 2 lutes, tuned in one key, so glutted my thirsting ears that my grief presently ceased, for joy whereof I was clapping my hands, and your ladyship called.
It is a sign that nothing shall assuage your love but marriage, for such is the tying of 2 in wedlock, as is the tuning of 2 lutes in one key. For striking the strings of one, straws will stir upon the strings of the other, and in 2 minds linked in love, one cannot be delighted, but the other rejoiceth.
Methought going by the seaside among pebbles, I saw one playing with a round stone, ever throwing it into the water where the sun shined. I asked the name. He said it was called asbeston, which, being one's heart, would never be cold. He gave it me and vanished. I, forgetting myself, delighted with the fair show, would always show it by candlelight. Pull it out in the sun and see how bright it would look in the fire, where, catching heat, nothing could cool it. For anger, I threw it against the wall, and with the heaving up of mine arm, I waked.
Beware of love, Favila, for women's hearts are such stones which, warmed by affection, cannot be cooled by wisdom.
I warn you, for I never credit men's words.
Yet be wary, for women are scorched sometimes with men's eyes, though they had rather consume than confess.
Cease your talkings! I would fain sleep to see if I can dream whether the bird hath feathers or the ant's wings. Draw the curtain.
Come, Cupid, Vulcan's flames must quench Venus' fires. Vulcan!
Oh!
Venus.
Oh, Venus.
Come, sweet Vulcan. Thou knowest how sweet thou hast found Venus, who being of all the goddesses the most fair, hath chosen thee of all the gods the most foul. Thou must needs then confess I was most loving. Inquire not the cause of my suit by questions, but prevent the effects by courtesy. Make me 6 arrowheads. It is given thee of the gods by permission to frame them to any purpose. I shall request them by prayer. Oh, why lowerest thou, Vulcan? Wilt thou have a kiss? Hold up thy head. Venus hath young thoughts and fresh affections. Roots have strings when boughs have no leaves. But hearken in thine ear, Vulcan. How sayest thou?
Vulcan is a god with you when you are disposed to flatter. A right woman whose tongue is like a bee's sting, which pricketh deepest when it is fullest of honey. Because you have made mine eyes drunk with fair looks, you will set mine ears on edge with sweet words. You will want to say that the beating of hammers made you a headache, and the smoke of the forge your eyes water, and every coal was a block in your way. You weep rose water when you ask, and spit vinegar when you have obtained. What would you now, with new arrows? Belike Mars hath a tougher skin on his heart, or Cupid a weaker arm, or Venus a better courage. Well, Venus, there is never a smile in your face, but hath made a wrinkle in my forehead. Ganymede must fill your cup, and you will pledge none but Jupiter. But I will not chide, Venus. Come, Cyclops, my wife must have her will. Let us do that in earth, which the gods cannot undo in heaven.
Gramercy, sweet Vulcan. To your work.
My shaggy hair, Cyclops, come, let's ply our Lamian hammers lustily. By my wife's sparrows, I swear these arrows shall singing fly through many a wanton's eye. These headed are with golden blisses, these silver ones feathered with kisses. But this of lead strikes a clown dead, when in a dance he falls in a trance, to see his black brow lass not buss him, and then went out of death to untruss him. So, our work being done, let's play. Holidays, boys, Christ, holiday! Here, Venus, I finish these arrows by art, bestow them you by wit, for as great advice must he use that hath them, as he by cunning made them.
Vulcan, now you have done with your forge, let us alone with the fancy. You are as the fletcher, not the archer, to meddle with the arrow, not the aim.
I thought so. When I have done working, you have done wooing. Where is now sweet Vulcan? Well, I can say no more but this, which is enough, and as much as any can say. Venus is a woman.
Be not angry, Vulcan. I will love thee again, when I have either business or nothing else to do. Be not angry, Vulcan. I will love thee again when I have either business or nothing else to do.
Damn it, Jim. My mother will make much of you when there are no more men than Vulcan.
Come, Cupid, receive with thy father's instruments thy mother's instructions, for thou must be wise in conceit if thou will be fortunate in execution. This arrow is feathered with the wings of Aegitus, which never sleepeth for fear of his hen. The head touched with the stone Perilous, which causeth mistrust and jealousy. Shoot this, Cupid, at men that have fair wives, which will make them rub the brows where they swell in the brains. This shaft is headed with Lydian steel, which striketh a deep disdain of that which we most desire. The feathers are of turtle, but dipped in the blood of a tigress. Draw this up close to the head at Sappho, that she may despise where now she dotes. Good my boy, gull her on the side, that for Phao's love she may never sigh. This arrow is feathered with the phoenix wings, and headed with the eagle's bill. It maketh men passionate in desires, and love constant, and wise in conveyance, melting as it were their fancies into faith. This arrow, sweet child, and with as great aim as thou canst, must Phao be stricken withal, and cry softly to thyself in the very loose, Venus. Sweet Cupid, mistake me not, I will make a quiver for that by itself. The fourth hath feathers of the peacock, but glued with the gum of the myrtle tree, headed with fine gold, and so fastened with brittle chrysocol. This shoot at dainty and coy ladies, at amiable and young nymphs. Choose no other wight but women, for this will work liking in their mind, but not love. Affability in speech, but no faith. Courtly favours to be mistresses over many, but constant to none. Sighs to be fetched from the lungs, not the heart, and tears to be wrung out with their fingers, not their eyes. Secret laughing at men's pale looks and neat attire. Open rejoicing at their own comeliness and men's courting. Shoot this arrow among the thickest of them, whose bosoms lie open, because they would be stricken with it. And seeing men term women Jupiter's fools, women shall make men Venus's fools. This shaft is lead in the head, and whose feathers are of the night raven, a deadly and poisoned shaft, which breedeth hate only against those which sue for love. Take heed, Cupid, thou not hit Phao with this shaft, for then shall Venus perish. This last is an old arrow, but newly mended, the arrow which hit both Sappho and Phao, working only in mean minds and aspiring to superiors, and in high estates a stooping to inferiors. With this, Cupid, I am galled myself, till thou have galled Phao with the other.
I warn you, I will cause Phao to languish in your love, and Sappho to disdain his.
Now, Venus, thou hast played a cunning part, though not current. But why should Venus dispute of unlawfulness in love, or faith in affection, being both the goddess of love and affection, knowing there is as little truth to be used in love as there is reason? No, sweet Phao, Venus will obtain, because she is Venus. Not thou, Jove, with thunder in thy hand, shall take him out of my hands. I have new arrows now for my boy, and fresh flames, at which the gods shall tremble, if they begin to trouble me. But I will expect the event, and tarry for Cupid at the forge.
What hast thou done, Cupid?
That my mother commanded, Sappho.
Methinks I feel an alteration in my mind, and as it were, a withstanding in myself of mine own affection.
Then hath mine arrow his effect.
I prithee tell me the cause.
I dare not.
Fear nothing, for if Venus fret, Sappho can frown. Thou shalt be my son. Mileta, give him some sweetmeats. Speak, good Cupid, and I will give thee many pretty things.
My mother is in love with Phao. She willed me to strike you with disdain of him, and him with desire of her.
Oh, spiteful Venus. Mileta, give him some of that. What else, Cupid?
I could be even with my mother, and so I will, if I shall call you mother.
Yea, Cupid, call me anything, so I may be even with her.
I have an arrow. with which if I strike Phao, it will cause him to loathe only Venus.
Sweet Cupid, strike Phao with it. Thou shalt sit in my lap, I will rock thee asleep, and feed thee with all these fine knacks.
All about it.
But come quickly again. Unkind Venus, is this thy promise to Sappho? But if I get Cupid from thee, I myself will be the queen of love. I will direct these arrows with better aim, conquer mine own affections with greater modesty. Venus' heart shall flame, and her love be as common as her craft. Oh, Mileta, time hath disclosed that which my temperance hath kept in. But as I am rid of the disease, I will not be ashamed to confess the cause. I loved Phao, Mileta, a thing unfit for my degree, but forced by my desire.
Phao?
Phao, Mileta, of whom now Venus is enamoured.
And do you love him still?
No. I feel relenting thoughts and reason not yielding to appetite. Let Venus have him. No, she shall not have him. But here comes Cupid. How now? My boy, hast thou done it?
Yea, I left Phao railing on Venus and cursing her name, yet still sighing for Sappho and blazing her virtues.
Alas, poor Phao, thy extreme love should not be requited with so mean a fortune. Thy fair face deserved greater favours. I cannot love. Venus hath hardened my heart.
I marvel, Cupid cometh not all this while. How now? In Sappho's lap?
Yea, Venus, what say you to it? In Sappho's lap.
Sir boy, come hither.
I will not.
What now? Will you not? Hath Sappho made thee so saucy?
I will be Sappho's son. I have, as you commanded, stricken her with a deep disdain of Phao, and Phao, as she entreated me, with a great despite of you.
Unhappy wag, what hast thou done? I will make thee repent it in every vein in thy heart.
Venus, be not choleric. Cupid is mine. He hath given me his arrows, and I will give him a new bow to shoot in. You are not worthy to be the lady of love, that yields so often to the impressions of love. Immodest Venus, that to satisfy the unbridled thoughts of thy heart transgressest so far from the stay of thine honour. How sayest thou, Cupid, wilt thou be with me?
Yes.
Shall not I be on earth the goddess of affection?
Yes.
Shall not I rule the fancies of men, and lead Venus in chains like a captive?
Yes.
It is a good boy.
What have we here? You, the goddess of love, and you, her son, Cupid. I will tame that proud heart, else shall the gods say they are not Venus' friends. And as for you, sir boy, I will teach you how to run away. You shall be stripped from top to toe, and whipped with nettles, not roses. I will set you to blow Vulcan's coals, not bear Venus' quiver. I will handle you for this gear. Well, I say no more. But for the new mistress of love, or lady, I cry you mercy, I think you would be called a goddess. You shall know what it is to usurp the name of Venus. I will pull those plumes, and cause you to cast your eyes on your feet, not your feathers. Your soft hair will I turn to hard bristles, your tongue to a sting, and those alluring eyes to unluckiness, in which, if the gods will aid me not, I will curse the gods.
You are in a vein answerable to your vanity, whose high words neither become you nor fear me. But let this suffice. I will keep Cupid, in despite of you, and yet with the content of the gods.
Will you? Why then, we shall have pretty gods in heaven when you take gods prisoners on earth. Before I sleep, you shall both repent and find what it is to think unreverently of Venus. Come, Cupid, she knows not how to use thee. Come with me. You know what I have for you. Will you not?
Not I.
Well, I will be even with you both, and that shortly.
Cupid, fear not, I will direct thine arrows better. Every rude ass shall not say he is in love. It is a toy made for ladies, and I will keep it only for ladies.
What will you do for Phao?
I will wish him fortunate. This will I do for Phao, because I once loved Phao. For never shall it be said that Sappho loved to hate, or that out of love she could not be as courteous as she was in love, passionate. Come. Mileta, shut the door.
Go to Sibella, tell the beginning of thy love and the end of thy fortune, and lo, how happily she sitteth in her cave. Sibella!
Phao, welcome, what news?
Venus, the goddess of love, I loathe. Cupid caused it with a new shaft. Sappho disdaineth me. Venus caused it for a new spite. Oh, Sibella, if Venus be unfaithful in love, where shall one fly for truth? She useth deceit. Is it not then likely she will dispense with subtlety, and being careful to commit injuries, will she not be careless to revenge them? I must now fall from love to labor, and endeavor with mine oar to get a fare, not with my pen to write a fancy. Loves are but smokes which vanish in the seeing, and yet hurt whilst they are seen. A fairy, Phao. No, the stars cannot call it a worser fortune. Rather, range over the world, forswear affections, entreat for death. Oh, Sappho, thou hast Cupid in thine arms. I, in my heart, thou kissest him for sport. I must curse him for spite. Yet I will not curse him, Sappho, whom thou kissest. This shall be my resolution, wherever I wander, to be as I were ever kneeling before Sappho, my loyalty unspotted, though unrewarded. With as little malice will I go to my grave as I did lie withal in my cradle. My life shall be spent in sighing and wishing, the one for my bad fortune, the other for Sappho's good.
Do so, Phao, for destiny calleth thee as well from Sicily as from love. Other things hang over thy head, which I must neither tell nor thou inquire. And so, farewell.
Farewell, Sibella, and farewell, Sicily. Thoughts shall be thy food, and in thy steps shall be printed behind thee, that there was none so loyal left behind thee. Farewell, Syracusa, unworthy to harbor faith, and when I am gone, unless Sappho be here, unlikely to harbor any.
They that tread in a maze walk oftentimes in one path, and at the last come out where they entered in. We fear we have led you all this while in a labyrinth of conceits, diverse times hearing one device, and have now brought you to an end where we first began. Which wearisome travail you must impute to the necessity of this history, as Theseus did his labor to the art of the labyrinth. There is nothing causeth such giddiness as going in a wheel. Neither can there anything breed such tediousness as hearing many words uttered in a small compass. But If you accept this dance of a fairy in a circle, we will hereafter at your wills frame our fingers to all forms. And so we wish every one of you a thread to lead you out of the doubts wherewith we leave you entangled, that nothing be mistaken by our rash oversights, no misconstrued by your deep insights.
Thus endeth the play. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. Any quick, we're kind of already overrun though, we started late, so it's kind of weird. And any thoughts before we sort of just bid our readers goodbye? Sorry, Aliki.
It feels like a really strange place to end. Is that just me? It feels like a part 1. Is there a part 2?
Not that I know of. Not based. Yeah. Sorry. Dan.
I was just going to say, go to Ovid and see where he leaves off.
Alexandra. Yeah.
It's also, yes, it's a strange ending, and I wouldn't call it unexpected necessarily, but it's one of those sort of unsatisfying reversals at the ending. That is very Lyly. So, come to think of his other play where he has well, I think he's got more than one of these sort of divinities doing shenanigans, and then things not being resolved at the end, just sort of I don't know, tied up sort of loosely. The thing that got me here on this one is that there seemed to be, it seemed to just want to start some kind of other plot directions and then kind of abandoned them. That was the sense I was getting, which is unusual. Generally, when he wraps things up, at least he wraps it unsatisfactorily, but up.
It's like, yeah, we're ending here. That's it. No more. But yeah, Emily has thoughts.
2 very brief thoughts. One, I really, although the paragraphs were killer to get through, bravo everyone, because they're in paragraph form, not in verse form, so it's kind of not broken up. But I found it really exciting to be playing the ramp up and the turns. The antitheses and the reversals of thought. I'll do this, I won't do this. I'll do this, I won't do this, which are extremely human. And I loved that. And then just thinking about pieces inspired by Aphrodite and Eros, Venus and Cupid. I just love how across literature, these 2 characters are so well defined that there's, reading this, reading the Ovid, reading contemporary plays that are written now, the characters tend to stay the same, even from playwright to playwright, which is just remarkable. And it was lovely to see that drawn out here.
Real quick response to that. That's really interesting, because the first other Lyly play that I could think of has a very different representation of both Venus and Cupid, which was Galatea. So it's interesting.
I mean, one should say, of course, like, you can do anything, but this is incredibly prevalent, just across the centuries. It's kind of neat.
Yeah. I was just going to mention, like, sort of Galatea comes after this. Interestingly, he writes this, or at least I think it's printed, possibly. I don't know. I have a date for them, but then it's like, I don't know if it's like date of writing or date of printing, possibly. I think Dan might know something about this.
No, you said exactly what I was going to say. I mean, glad you made the distinction with the printing versus when it was written, when we think it was written.
Yeah, because like according to the list I have, like, this was written in 1584 and then, or printed, I don't know. In
1584 was printed.
Yeah.
The one that we first know of.
Yeah.
Right. But then
And then-
Galatea not to 1592, but who knows when that was really
Yeah,
like written, staged, all that. Yeah.
this is why we have Dan. He knows the things. I mean, aside from the acting side, yeah. Any other thoughts? Quick thoughts before we sort of go into the Kyle.
I really admire what Lyly does with Ovid, because I feel like Ovid takes Sappho, who's a lesbian, and makes her in love with a man, and like kind of, just totally turns that around. And then Lyly restores it in a way by letting her kind of not care about men and just say, we're going to keep love for women. I thought that was great, of Lyly.
But isn't this a different Sappho?
I don't think so.
I have no idea.
No, Ovid does this on purpose. Like, it seems to me anyway, when I read the Ovid, that it's a kind of misogynistic almost, or I don't know, kind of homophobic, rendition of like Sappho, who's the lesbian. But of course loves men, really, right?
That Sappho is a Sappho from literal Lesbos.
Yeah.
Right.
And
this is
a poetess.
No, Syracuse
Whereas-
is not Italy.
This is
Right.
Syracuse.
I mean, Lyly does change that, right? Or is it Ovid that changes that? But I think this is the Sappho of Lesbos, that Ovid makes fall in love. No, it's not.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I don't know a lot about Ovid, but this has nothing to do with the Sappho of Lesbos, of her history, what we know of it.
Right, I know, but I think this is the rewrite, or the kind of of her, and so I feel like Lyly's restoring that. Maybe I'm completely off. I had assumed that it was. Somehow I thought it was. Maybe I don't remember correctly. Sorry.
I don't know whether there's any kind of intention behind using a historical name and trying to represent a historical person, but there is certainly a person at the time that he might be hinting towards.
Yes.
With great and powerful significance about woman in charge, falling in love and choosing not to follow that because reasons. And it's a trope he comes back to again and again. I wonder why.
But also, regarding who Sappho might be a stand-in for, I love that it ends with Sappho in many ways conquering Venus and Cupid, which is something you don't, or at least that's the sensation that I was getting. And ordering Cupid about, even as Phao says at the very end. So that's quite a thing to say to people who might be in the audience.
Yeah, and also just interesting how she can converse with the gods, and as does Phao. But then the only other play that does that by Lyly is Aeneas, who is born of Venus in like a similar period.
That's not Lyly, that's Marlowe.
No. I mean, because he turns up in I think it's mentioned maybe in Galatea, or is that just a different? I love Metamorphosis. One of the other ones. Or possibly Dido, by Marlowe, which is probably correct. Anyway, I should.
I feel like the love gods tend to have more conversation with mortals, though, as opposed to I don't know, coming around as swans and things, and I don't know that there's much conversation. A little more action, please.
That's Elvis. He's a different love god. We're not sure if he's dead. Anyway, sorry.
He's left the building.
Yeah. I'm guessing you had a point there, rather than just sort of. Okay.
Just thinking about your Greek mythology in terms of the ones, who it's a convention, which seems to make sense. They're less they meddle, but in some ways they don't dictate. They do converse with mortals, which seems appropriate for gods of love and passion and lust and things. As opposed to gods of thunder.
And lightning and everything scary. Yeah. But you enjoyed the play, right? Overall, having read it as like at pace. I think it could work at pace. Plus the songs and all that stuff. It's basically for fun. Well, Alexandra.
Well, that's the thing. I do wonder what it's for. Because if it doesn't end in a way that we as an audience, as a modern audience, would sort of go, yes, that ties everything up and I'm satisfied. It doesn't necessarily make me happy, but I am satisfied that all the things that got started got finished. Because that is not its purpose. Its purpose is to butter up a specific human. I wonder what you could use of this in a modern production, or how one could put together a modern production that doesn't need an entire sort of lecture at the beginning about how this was relevant in its own time.
Yeah. Alan.
I must admit, my gut feeling with this, as with many of the pieces we've seen, particularly the ones designed for court, is that they're probably better described as entertainments rather than plays. And I think probably spectacle was a large chunk of what was there. You know, it would be down to costume and so on, with a few songs to break things up, possibly some uncued dance work in there as well. I mean, about the only bit, and sorry about this, Alexandra, but no fighty bits, I'm afraid. I know. I knew
Much
it would upset you.
Yeah.
You keep promising me sea battles, and they just never occur.
Yeah,
but you weren't here.
You went absent the day we had sea battle and pirates.
Yeah, more to come though, as far as I can tell. Sorry,
but
Dan is
just the thing about just the term entertainments, though. I'm not sure. Somebody else can correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm wondering if that's more of a modern conception. You know, I mean, definitely the differentiation between plays and masks, you know, or puppet shows and plays. But the idea that something was not a play and it was an entertainment versus just being a play and it just has those elements, that's kind of where I think that this falls. And then in today's modern description, I think that we want to classify them as something else. And I think that there's definitely room for all of that. Really, because we've read quite a few plays, and this not being an exception to me, I don't see how the distinction, putting a distinction on it, would somehow prevent it from having certain elements that we associate with plays or not associate with plays. I'm not sure if I'm being clear there, but
yeah, kind of like the genre distinction is might only be modern. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, I think what I'm saying. Yeah, which is why I'm saying I don't think that we couldn't not have fights, for example, in these kinds of plays. It's not like boys' companies never had fights in plays. No, they absolutely have. So, you know, we're reading a copy here that, you know, one supposes was, I mean, like most of Lyly's plays, was not the one that was being used for staging, or I should say that was not, it was a script that was written authorially and not staged. Therefore, lots of things could still have been done with this play, and we've just never seen the staged version of it or the prompt copy of it.
Aliki. Sorry, I was going to say Alexandra for some reason because we were talking about fights. Yeah.
Just because I'm the one who threw the completely wrong information out there and we've settled it in the chat, it really is Sappho, apparently. Sappho, the poet of Lesbos, who the Romans just didn't want to let be herself. There we go.
As one does. So just exile people to places and stuff. Yeah, you can look that up on the internet somewhere. I believe Wikipedia. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, so Lyly is great again, right? Galatea, and this one, he's great. He's doing such great good things, I think.
He's
but
trying.
Quite
certainly.
a lot of misogynist utterance in this play.
Yeah.
I think so too, but he tends to counter it right after. Like, I mean, and Reed will do that too. Like, there'll be some misogynistic thing, and then there's something that undermines it. So, you know, it's like you're setting it up to take it down, but maybe that's not good.
Honestly,
But
a lot of especially the civil speeches about women do this, men do this, but particularly, women do this. It just reminded me of 90s stand-up comedy. Woman, am I right? This is what they do. And it's like, it half made me wonder, given that there were so many sort of interstitial court scenes that could have been very funny to the people watching, whether some of the Sybil stuff would have been delivered seriously or with a bit of a wink.
That's the thing too, is that, sorry if somebody had their hand up and I just cut off. We remember we've got two different introductions here, or two different prologues. You've got one at Blackfriars and one at Court. And so it's definitely a good point to always bring up, who was the public in this and how would it have been played for it. And the fact it was also played by a boys' company, there was a scene earlier on where I feel like in the reading of it, we're hearing it obviously from contemporary ears, being read by women versus by boys. When you hear it by boys, I think it absolutely has a different effect, no matter how much you're into the characters, and you've completely forgotten about the gender at this point. It's still going to come back to you at some point.
Yeah, true. Yes, sorry, I was mildly distracted by the chat. But yes, I am back now, sort of. I should probably thank all the readers who are here and who have disappeared to do their own things. I don't know if I should wrap up the session. I don't know if Lynn is waving at me or just adjusting her glasses. And all the being old and spectacled and stuff. Oh God, yeah. You know what? Yeah. Anyway. So I would like to thank the readers for their lovely reading, and Briony for the lovely makeup, not makeup. I don't know what you would call it. Yeah, makeup. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I'll be quiet now. And beware of Valor.